Welcome back to the Beat 139. I'm Doc.
I'm Don Vito. How y'all doing? What's good? We got a nice little audience here today. It's been a little while, you know what I'm saying? I see people again in front of us instead of me and Doc just sitting there, just doing what we do. But we got our second guest right now. I want to welcome you to the show. So tell everybody your name and where you from, brother.
My name is Gary E. Stewart. I was born in Brooklyn, but raised in Harlem in the Bronx with my father. I grew up on 143rd, Convent, not far from here. Coincidentally, I lived around the corner on St. Nicholas Avenue, 850. And here I go again, back on this block.
Okay.
When the Dance Theater Harlem used to have a 1977, there used to be a line going down the block to go to school there.
Right.
So I'm back here again.
Yeah. So you see a lot of history around here, you know?
Yeah. When he spun me through, I was like, I come through sometime, but not walking through. We had to find parking, so we walked back. So,
right.
Yeah, so I told him, I said, yo, my grandmother used to own that brownstone over there, 850 St. Nicholas Avenue, and Dance to the Harlem was up the street, and that corner down there was the number home. And Harlem was just different. It was guys with shoes that was platforms.
Right.
It was just a different world. They actually had a Buick Bennett on 137th Street, Broadway. A lot of people ain't know that. So it was a lot.
Yeah, Buick dealer, huh?
Yeah, right there. And Harlem was, Lenox Avenue used to, being that Lenox Avenue was a wide street, a wide sidewalk. We used to line up there to make money. Right. Just selling things,
Yeah.
It just was a different vibe.
Number holes and all that.
Yeah, the real shoes, the real pimps. It was more, it wasn't really the pimp thing, it was more, if I told you something, we didn't have to worry about it too much. Then today, I don't knock them because I didn't leave too much of an example. I'm a writer now.
Right.
Since we hear Guy T. Fisher, or even Dr. Fisher, taught me how to write.
Oh, yeah?
Screenwriting.
And where that was at?
That was in Allenwood, USP.
Oh, so you was locked up?
Yeah. I was going to school. Actually, Dr. Fisher, sorry. He got his bachelor's degree twice. And then Debbie Allen was coming up there, and Underwood was up there, so Pointer Sisters, Slay, everybody's in the business room. So at this time, Guy Fisher got me the job as the photographer. I only had 3 years left.
So hold on, let me stop you for a minute, because it's getting real interesting, right? So let's take it back a little bit. So how was life growing up as a kid? It seemed like you was doing your ones and twos coming up a little bit, huh?
Yeah.
What led you to get to Allenwood?
Okay, I have 2 beautiful kids. They're little. They don't know I was convicted for 57. I was convicted for 57 bank robberies, 2 armored trucks. And I was one of the biggest smugglers that I used to smuggle. I wear a dragon on me, if you Google me. I wear a dragon around my body. That's how I met Nicky, I promised Guy Fisher I wouldn't overpower his name nowhere. Maybe that's why I have a limitation on the industry.
Right.
I ain't gonna say that, but it's a new world now.
So you got 57 bank robberies.
Yeah. That's why I say my kids don't know nothing about it, because nothing to brag about. I went in there, I did what I did. Yes, in the armored truck on Hunts Point, and the one at 149th Street, and the market under the Bronx House of Detention.
Right.
And I wound up getting in trouble, but I wound up bailing out. I bailed out, but I was a smuggler. I'm a flying dragon. My document is the flying dragon. That's why the Bloods and the Crips, I don't have to wear cigars. I wear a dragon wrapped around my entire body.
Flying dragon, I understand, was an Asian thing.
Yeah. Actually, if you Google, I'll show you. I'm the first Black American to infiltrate the Japanese mob. What happened is Frank Matthews, my stepfather. My mother was a professional tap dancer on Broadway because she was light-skinned at that time, and long hair. And she got the job, and she started messing with a gentleman in Brooklyn, if you know the movie theater, on Fulton Street, There's the Bango on Nostrand, and the Region is on the other corner. And they turned it into this thing called a sleigh. And then now it's disappearing. But if you go back, there used to be a movie theater called a Region, and a black man owned that. He was a judge. A black judge owned that. Yeah, you know, a black judge owned that back in the days. And my mother used to date the man who ran it. And the Italians came in, roughed them up. I became a writer because when I was little, I know that movie theater backwards and forward. I mean, bro, I used to come in the morning, change the lights, make sure somebody honest at the booth, take all the candy that was eaten up by the mice, get them out. And you had to put somebody in the bathroom who was, at that time, it was heroin users who were transsexual with wigs on, but on heroin. They used to use every bathroom in the movie theater. So we had one in there to control that. And then the gangs, the outlaws, the vice lords, and the West End was coming in through the side doors. And they knew I was the littlest one. And I used to run my stepfather drink. And I used to go down in the basement with an axe, move the rats, go get the reel, put it on. They knew me there. And then from there, I moved to, they came and roughed my stepfather up. Frank Matthew did, himself, his peoples. God and them know all that. That's how I meet God. It's a long story. My mother was light-skinned, long hair. She hooked up with the next man, sorry. But she hooked up with Frank. Frank bought a beautiful brownstone on Avenue D and 6th Street. It was the heart of the east side. It was brownstones there. We bought the flat. I went to Stewart Park. It was a Chinese school. Half Chinese, very little Spanish, no blacks. And they put us in these annex. If you remember, they took the schoolyards and put little buildings in there. And we went to the annex. And when I got to the annex, the Chinese girl had the locker. And I didn't know, I seen some sneakers and I left them there. And then sure enough, she came to get them. It's almost a love story because I fell in love with her right there. But we was kids. So I got her sneakers and I begged her father to give me a job in Chinatown because I'm right down the street. And she gave me my first job. I was riding bikes with her, doing bikes. No relationship, no sex. Just riding, and then one day I was delivering. I fell. And when I fell over and I spilled into heroin. The whole bag was food and heroin. And I scraped on it. They took me to Bellevue Hospital. I was on heroin. My mom's came. Make a long story short, I didn't rat nobody else. When I came out, I became a flying dragon. I have a tattoo on my body on my left side. Everyone knows, look me up. All my co-defendants are Japanese. That's how God them know me.
And what year was this about?
Oh, this was we was all with me, Calvin Klein, Boy George. That's what they do in Boy George story. I just hit 50, 50. Let me do the story, because come on. Me, Boy George, God, because I wrote the movie Into Deep. But I wrote that in the yard with God. God Fisher pulled me over in the yard and said, what you gonna do? You only got 3 years left. I got your job in the visiting room. I said, 3 years left in the visiting room? I'm going to see women. So I took the job, Pointer Sister Slade. That's why I met Debbie Allen. And Debbie Allen, Pee Wee, and all of them could tell you, I was with Pee Wee Kirkland, sitting in front of the Apollo with the 380. I was only 15. I'm 60 this year. I was 15. Pee Wee there, all of them right there. And Debbie came to the front right there. And they said, let her in, she rubbed the joint. That's when she saw me in the visiting room, she looked at me, I was like, and then, sure enough, she asked the warden, can Guy Fisher teach screenwriting? The warden said, if he passed the test as a doctor, and he passed the test as a professor, because the professors come in, you see him come in. Guy Fisher passed that joint, became a professor, and got his doctorate degree, and he told everybody, no rats allowed. And I was the only one who didn't have life. So I did the class, Boy George, Calvin Klein, Freeway Willie. I got pictures go on my Instagram. Me and George like this. They all want me to write a story. But I wrote God's story, Into Deep. That was my boy. He was together with me every day. Got Kim, Edie. I just liked him. He was my boy. We did our thing in there. And I did his story. And I was going to do Prince story because he was there too. Last time I seen Prince, I have a letter. I used to hold drugs back then. Nothing proud about it. Today, I'm a writer. And I've been out 20 years.
So how long you did?
I copped out to 25 years because I'm under the old law, my man. You know what I mean? 65%. And if you paint something, my man, if you get a job paint something, you get 5 days off. So I did 11 straight out of 25. Try that right now, and you'll be doing 18,
So
19.
you went in the 70s.
No, the early, I was the first, youngest, really, I'm the third, Boy George, and me and George about the same time, the first youngest. Oh, I'm before George.
Younger than you.
Yeah, George was only 18, I'll show you pictures going on. George came in 18.
Yeah.
18 years old. He's the third one to get convicted as a youth to go do time. The first one was in Albany. It was a mom and pop store. A man went in there, robbed the store, Pops caught him, slapped him up, sent him on his way. He came at the gun, shot Pops. They wound up giving him a real sentence in prison behind as young, and George came in. George had John Gotti, attorney. They was up and down the stairs doing his case, and he never ratted out. He's the first one in that history. What's that president's name who was on 125th Street?
President?
Clinton put out, Clinton, if you do your mathematics, Clinton put away the most black men in the history. This is why Russell came out and said, yo, let them free. Long story. That's a whole nother political thing. But at the end of the day, what I'm saying to you, gentlemen, is that right now, when we get back on the main story is that Debbie Allen asked the warden, can Guy Fisher teach screenwriting as a professor with the rest of the professors? And he passed. And Guy started the class. I never forget it. Read my novel, Great Introspection. He stopped me in the yard and said, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? You going to the class? And I said, no, man, them guys coming in here, preacher co-defendants. They're telling me they're gonna tell me where that money is when I come home. And then he said, no. He said, if I drop a jewel on the ground, God said, if you pick it up, what is it? I said, it's a jewel, a dime. He said, go, come on. And I went to the class, man. I ain't gonna lie, we seen HBO. That shit was crazy, you know. We seen movies. Debbie Allen was sending them in. And I said, I'm gonna do God's story. Boy George, all I wanted, I was gonna do Freeway. But I said, I'm doing God's story. We wrote that in the yard.
So where you met Calvin Klein at?
Oh, Calvin, come on, man. Calvin Klein go way back. We go back as far as all the way as, unfortunately, that's when Klein, got his first really, he got a murder case. That's when he was the first one, not bragging, but it is the truth. He the first one with the AK-47 and lit up that barbershop. That, from then, Savior is the one I really knew. Okay? Mm-hmm. Saved. And then when we all went to MCC together. They had us chained up on the court. Me, Calvin Klein, Boy George, all of us was going to court on 500 Pearl Street. And they all know I copped out. As y'all say, Mr. Stewart, what you want to do? I said, I'll take that 25. Okay? And then he said, your case falls back under the old law. I'm a flying dragon. They've been trying to get me. All right?
When did the law change? 87, right?
87.
And
yeah.
you went in 80 what?
I went in before. I went in after 87, but my case fell back because I'm convicted I'm convicted under the old law. But my case is with the dragons. I'm a flying dragon.
And they went in.
Nicky
went in 86 or whatever.
Right. They case the Queen told on me, of all of us. I can't really pull it off, but
Nah, I believe.
Once wrapped around my entire body, the whole dragon. I had this since I was 12. Mm-hmm. And all my co-defendants, Japanese, they know him. Everybody know him. And when I went in there, I just went to school.
So you was with a bunch of Chinese guys?
Yeah, I was with them. When I went to Chinatown, the school there, me and the girl got close. I fell into drugs. When I came out, I became a dragon. And I started, I was dealing in tunnels at first. They have tunnels that go from the harbor. My man, in the 70s, go from the harbor all the way through Chinatown tunnels. I made sure that who came in, who didn't come in. I had lied in my nigga.
So that's interesting because normally the agents they don't really let nobody in. So you the only one, and so how many co-defendants you had?
Altogether it was like 47 of us, but who can prove all this? Everybody knows this attorney. This is Jay-Z's first attorney. His name is Philip Klein. All right? When I met Philip Klein, through a long story, he told me, Gary Stewart, you was the first criminal case I had. to go look for the young black American who did the border.
So did the Asian guys all told on you?
The queen did, told on me, told me don't mess with Nicky in there.
That's a woman.
Yeah. She told on, she got caught, she told on all us. But they always told me don't give God them, don't deal with my own kind. I didn't, but I did anyway. Because I was robbing banks and I met Nicky really through money machines. He was giving out $25,000, so he owed me on 127th Street.
Nicky Barnes?
Yeah.
So this is the 70s now.
No, we're not even in Nicky didn't fall in the 70s. They fell in 83, my man.
Nicky fell in 83?
83, what was it? I'll show you documents right here, 83.
I thought he felt like 78, 79.
Nah, he got 37, guy got 37 years in. The first trial he had, guy in Gator and Baton and all them, they beat the trial. And that's why Gator's on Park Avenue. He didn't go back to hustling. He left and God's guy, he went back into the game. I'm putting together a program now to try to get him out because he's not convicted of a murder.
Yeah, he's not. That's ridiculous.
Nah, he's ridiculous. Right.
So Nicky ratted on him.
Nicky ratted on 50 people. Nicky called this New York the council. Nicky ran Philly, DC. Remember the president turned him in. Okay? Think back. This was only one ground. That's why he called it the council. He left it with with God. He had Baltimore on the smash. Remember when he told Philly, y'all get nothing. Nicky was the boss of all bosses. When he came out that day, the Carter was in his car. He said, who that in that limousine? And his bodyguard, the FBI said, that's Nicky Barnes. He lived in the condo. He said, oh, he lived there? He said, no, he owns the whole condo. He owned the whole property. Nicky owned the whole property. And then 3 days later, a week later, he on the front page and says, my name is Nicky Barnes, I'm untouchable. So the FBI sent the top at him, public enemy number one. And Guy's still in jail, 37 years, 33 years this year to the day. Another ratted, got a bachelor's degree, never been convicted of a crime, and then he was the commissioner of the whole federal prison. I'm talking about one state fighting another state, and we don't get on with that state. And we win that basketball game, Guy make one phone call, they call Guy up, Guy went out to bed, because he might be a different state, 3 hours away. Yo, Guy get on the phone, he cleared that whole, you can have a ride over basketball games. And he's just his commissioner. He went to school, got his doctor's degree, and he taught us how to write, man. He taught us how to screenwrite.
It seemed to me that it hit you personally about, somebody told on God, and it's good that we like to, educate our audience about, the ratting. Like, I don't.
Just the ratting thing. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. The prisons today, they are set up. The closer you are to New York, unfortunately, they'll tell you when you come to the prison, like Allenwood, where I left Guy at, they tell you when you come there, listen, we got ICs here, before you sign the paper, we got rats all on here. You want to see your family, or you want to go back out to Lawn Pop? You want to go with the big, Lewisburg, the closest. Lewisburg is like Clinton.
Yeah, Lewisburg in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, there you go. That's the big house. That's the big house. There's no rats allowed in there. None. Everybody in there is running hard. Just like Terre Haute, Indiana. And the Italians, that's why, when we sold drugs, I give the Italians their respect at Hell's Kitchen. The ones who chop the little bodies up, put you in the bag. They read the hallway. Those guys' story need to be told. Okay? Not 3 women telling the story about Hell's Kitchen. Okay? I love them too. Don't get me wrong. We're on air. I'm a writer. I'm a writer. But the real stories are there, and all of them wanted me to do their story, man, but I did God's story. I wound up giving it to Debbie. I wound up giving it to God. And what happened after that, I didn't. When I came home, I did my own thing. I'm on 44th Street, Lexington. I have a beautiful place there. I've been there for a while, but I came home straight from prison to Atlantic and Bedford. On Atlantic Avenue, I had guy gave me $15,000 when I came out. And I went to Atlantic and Bedford, this place called Vietnam. I went there, and 3 weeks, I think 4 weeks later, I ain't gonna get into it on air. I'm living on 44th Street, Lexington Avenue, across from Grand Central Station. I've been there ever since. I ain't been back to felony. I get my gun license, do all that good stuff. No, man.
They give you a gun license?
Yeah, because after 15 years, you got to go 15 years after parole for a felony, and 10 years after misdemeanor. I got 22, so when I do,
You've been home 22 years.
Yeah, man. I do go to different schools. I went to a few schools in Brooklyn. I put a book together called Publish Yourself, using strategic techniques for today's author. It teaches you how to write, publish, market, distribute your own book. Because I know you got ideas, be walking around, You know, you might be walking around with a bestseller, you never know. I went from smuggling all the way from here, Key West, Florida, on a boat, 64-foot boat. Matter of fact, I got my Interpol right here. My Interpol records from Interpol that got me. I'll never forget it, man. I did it 17 times on a boat. Couldn't believe it. I'm on a boat, Key West, Florida, only 17 years old, coming from New York in the Cadillac Seville, the square one. Got the joint from Crest O's. You know, used to be on 138th, of course, through the post office on the Grand Concourse, or we just slide the Gidron. And back then, the Cadillac was only one wheel spinning. So I used to put all my money in that wheel coming back. And then I get to Key West, Florida, park my car, get on a 64 boat. I come off, go around Cuba on the left-hand side, come to Montego Bay, and the boat get loaded. When I come back 7 days, the boat is sunk. When I come back, I put a hearing aid on, throw my flags. I don't speak English, and if you that far out in the ocean, if you see somebody coming, that ain't nothing but a pirate. So I used to be like, damn, I'm supposed to be in Brooklyn, but when I hit Key West, Florida, you know what I'm saying? I hit Key West, Florida, the Japanese was there. Had my briefcase, get my Seville. Unfortunately, I don't brag about drugs. Give me 4 keys. 1 key is $300,000. Get my salary. That's when I went to Nicky and sell it to them. I should have never did, because I caught 2 cases. Okay? Nicky didn't tell. He only told on a couple people in New York. He told on 50 people. That man was a pyramid of different states. So I know it because at the end of the day, I knew him personally as far as someone I gave machines to, someone guy pointed out. But the thing is, I'm not here for that. I'm here to let you know that I do got this story collaborating through IMDb for the movie In Too Deep, because the Senator Emmanuel Gold, after the Son of Sam murders the 44 killer, he put out the law that nobody from prison can get recognition from anything, books or anything. So the Writers Guild did give me excuse me, need some water, but needed, yeah, got some, my mouth is a little dry. But the point is, I wrote some books. I have 5 novels out. I enjoy writing. I do go to schools. I was working for the Board of Education for a while. I was teaching teachers how to teach kids how to screenwrite so they can get back in class. These are the teachers who were put in what we call rubber rooms. You cannot fire a teacher after 10 years. You will put her somewhere for the 8 hours. So they used to pay us to come. So I used to come to the classes. They used to have to pay me $400 to come to a class. So I used to go to 149th and Morris. No, 161st and Morris, that pub 150th and Morris, across the street from the courthouse. There's a school right there. I would meet the teachers there, 50 of them, they all pay my money. And I teach the kids how to screenwrite and write novels. And would you believe this? I went to the school, the principals, everybody, kids fell in love. I got 6 kids right now who's writing books, and they're middle class. How do I love that so much? Because they got a lot to say. I got one kid, he named his book Murder. I said, yo, shorty, why you call your book Murder, man? You know what I mean? He said, yo, man, I be traveling, he only 16. I be traveling from Surf Avenue to D-Train all the way to the Bronx to over here. I just seen mad murders. So my book is called Murder. But he can write. You know what I mean? And I told him the purpose is this. Stop telling kids about you're gonna do homework. I just do homework. Nah. You tell them you're gonna write your first manuscript. There's no age to be an author. I'm gonna give everybody here, whoever write their best novel, I used to bring the big ribbon with the 5% gold, so it won't turn. And I said, you get this ribbon, and then see this chair right here, the studio chair, whoever write the best screen, who write the best movie. And I give out the book called Publish Yourself Using Some Teach Techniques for Today's Author. One against the other. Don't you know, man, them kids was calling me. One principal called me and said, Mr. Stewart, this kid never picked up a book in his life. He wrote 57 pages in one day. How do a kid write 57 pages? He said, I want to win, I want to be a writer. Another lady come to me and said, my son, all he talk about, all he walk around now is with this black hat and these glasses, and all he's doing is writing movies. So I got him back reading. That's how you approach him. And believe me or not, the teachers took it upon me. 9 months went by, and the kids are improving and reading. So I'll be like, yo, God, man, you did get to one of us.
Anybody ever tell you like Curtis Blow?
Yeah, but no, Curtis Blow, we go way back, and he can vouch for it. I tell you, I grew up on 143rd and Convent. He grew up on 141st, 42nd, and Hamilton. We used to go with the same girl. The girl name was Peaches. Yeah, we used to date the same. That's how we met.
I met him before. That's what I was laughing. I met Curtis Blow before.
Yeah, the last time I seen Curtis Blow, he was at Chippendales. That's when they used to call it Chippendales, and I was a waiter. I used to wear a bow tie, and I used to wait. And Curtis Blow came through, and he was living on 204 in Broadway. That's the last time I seen Curtis Blow. But yeah, funny you said that, man. He grew up right there, man. Small world. Yeah, man, but I tell you, man, right, and God didn't play with it. That's one thing he did not do. He didn't care if he was a gangster or no gangster, but didn't study. God damn it, he was hard body with that. That's why if you read my books, everybody texts me back and say, man, why you sending me to the dictionary? I mastered the dictionary.
So let me ask you a question. So you ran across a lot of major players and stuff like that. You've been in and out the prison system, different.
No, only twice in my life.
I mean, but you.
Oh, you did 2 bids.
Yeah, no, I did 3 really. I got.
Oh, so you did the 11. First you did.
No. When I was a kid, I used to be with Jamie on Skinny and Bustin' them back in the days around here. I tell you, I grew up around the corner from here. Ty, little Ty, and all them. I want Ty going to Kawasaki. I want to go to Elmira.
Lil Ty, what you know about Lil Ty?
Yeah, Big Ty. I left Big Ty, please, off 175th Street. I left Ty right there, him and his sister. Don't talk to his sister, she had a fatty. But don't talk to her. You know what I'm saying?
How long you did on that one?
Oh, no, I went to trial. I got 2 years.
Oh, you did 2 on that
Yeah,
one?
because that's when 170 was on fire. Doc and Zoc and all them, they were on fire over there.
Then you did it. So you was like 18, 19?
Yeah, I was young. I was 19.
And then you did another bid right after that?
Then I got a bid in Jamaica. I did a year in Jamaica prison. But they caught me coming around Cuba. They caught us too, man. My 17th time. They caught me, boom. Because I was in charge of the posse. I was smuggling for Jim Brown. All right? Look up history. They're going to say Gary Stewart, Google it. They shot up the prison trying to get me out of that jail. I used to run the shower posse in Brooklyn on Closet. My name rings bells, man. I'm just very humble about it. And I'm a writer now. But back then, your friend Jim Brown, that was the prime minister. She was married. He was married to the prime minister's daughter, and they used to have a thing called PNP, 2 different parties. I did a year in Jamaica prison, 3rd world prison, man. I set up on a dock, taller than me. I'm the only one on the dock, looking down. And when I saw a black man dark as this right here coming in there with a white long wig, I knew I was in trouble. And he told me, thank you. He said, Mr. Stewart, you're gonna do, they went and got the embassy lady, because I'm American. The embassy lady came with an MP, the military lady who was all in court. And the judge said, Mr. Stewart, you're gonna do time here. I don't care if you're not. I got busted with a ton of heroin. A ton.
Yeah.
So what I was saying, that all them interactions in different places and all the major players, how do you feel about dudes that be telling it on it? Raps and stuff like that.
My brother, I'm not even gonna say movies, but I'm gonna bring it up anyway. I was in the premiere of a movie that just came out not many years ago. I'm not gonna say the name of it. But just to answer that question, I was with some mayors and some serious politicians. We went in the premiere. Politicians are gangsters, man. And then at the end of the movie, this guy wound up being a rap. Come on, how?
You said politicians?
We left out together. Like they were like, yo, the movie was, but come on, he was a rap. Nobody respects the rap. I'm just showing you how far it goes. Okay? So how did that happen? How did Boy George still in there? He coming there 18 years old. He came out 15, so he only been on the street three years in his entire life.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And he's 37 years old, and he ain't rapping.
Nah, he older than that.
Why is he still stories not told? Why Bill Underwood? He ain't ratting. These men,
But we like to have the OGs to come on and tell a game to the kids, because you know they step out here not knowing they ain't ready for that, not man enough. They do the crime, but they don't want to do the time. You know, so we like, you know, our OGs to go, you know, talk to the youth about. You know what I'm saying? It's cool to get the 9 to 5. You know what I mean? Stay out the way if you're not built for this.
there you go. You hit the ending with it. If you're not built for it, do not let your friends and stop spending the money on somebody telling you a story. Because he's telling you a story, how much you can make in your mind, you spending the money. So you leaning towards it, okay? But at the end of the day, when you get to lay down at these places over here, these men over here are different. They are there, okay? They don't care too much about you. So when you do get there, even if you rat out, you're gonna sit in a cell for 24 hours. And if you do go to a jail that allow them, rats start fighting against each other, and you still be locked down. You will be, I don't care what jail to go to, you always got a soldier saying, I can't do it no more, and wind up hurting one of them and getting up out of there. That's how bad, you know, it gets. And then if you got 2 life sentences, but you've been a good guy and they put you here, and he'd be like, I got sent home. My kid's 21 years old. He's only 1 when I left. I got to do some college money. What you need me to do this right? I mean, it gets ugly. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it doesn't really last long. But like he said, education. The education thing, at the end of the day, it's a million. I learned from it was a million ways to make $1 million. Okay, yes. In the federal government, they stopped counting and charging you after 6 bank robberies. They tell you gotta go see a psychologist. You sit down with them, and it's like you're almost in a gambling habit. Because there's no lie. I have to admit with them. Every time I did a bank, I was riding, praying to God, talking to him, telling him I ain't gonna never do it again if you let me get away. You know what I mean? So every time I got away,
I didn't know about 57 banks.
Because your picture's in there, I didn't care. Read my book. I used to go to AJ Lesson and lock it down. Walk up in their clothing store. I'm going up, if you locking me up, I'm coming out, I go in the stores with gators. I go in there with the Frank stand. I buy the Frank stand with $1,600 back then. I'll sit in front of that bank and I watch them come in and out. You don't mess with the guys with the boots tied all the way up, because those guys are what you would call Vietnam now. There you go. They're gonna shoot you down. They don't hear about no hooligan coming up to their truck. They just got out the military. So you get the ones, unfortunately, a little overrated. You know what I mean? You eyeball them. I'm in the Frank stand, but I'm sitting there. I said, if I go to jail, I'm going to jail with gators on. So I'm suited down. You know what I'm saying? And I'm casing. But back then, they didn't have glass. The armored truck comes in. When he comes in, the reason I scored so much, read my paperwork, I used to wait till the truck come. If he got his hands on his gun, he's carrying. If he's coming out, doobity-bop, or walking in there, he's going to pick up money. So when he comes in, you walk in with him. You leave the Frank stand, that's a loss. You walk right in there with him. He's going to take that money and he's going to put it over the counter no further than that picture right there. And they're all going to say bye. And once you see them boots leave there, the insurance company to him to surrender, unless he's a real hero and you make enough noise. You know what I mean? Once he walks out that bank, you're supposed to be over that counter. Just jump over it. Just jump over it. It's going to be a brick, and it's all there. You just come up out there, be so shocked and so surprised. And usually, I used to take my fingers a day before, because I didn't even want my fingerprints to show up in my dreams. That's how much you constipating that night for the next day. All it takes now is heart. Only 3 things going to happen each time. You're going to die. You're going to do 25 years in prison, or you're going to spend the rest of the evening spending. So those are going to be the 3 things. And I had no co-defendants, so I loved it. So I did time differently.
You was going in there by yourself?
Yeah. Never had co-defendants. And then, but when I did get in trouble, I did a different time than those guys. They were breaking the phones. Yo, they had baby mothers, kids. I had nobody but my mother. So I was like a wow man. You know what I mean? You know, just didn't have the responsibility like they didn't. So I went to school. Yo, Jay, let's go kill something. Nah, man, you know I can't read. Stop playing. And I was big as the house. I was a little bully. But I stopped, went to school, leave me alone. I was running with God. God got me off the street, started teaching me. I wanted to get my associate's degree from Cheney. So I just never looked back. And when I came home, yes, lieutenant spots was offered and all that. I saluted him and told him, you want to buy my book? And I got the story collaborator for the movie In Too Deep, but God himself hates the movie. God is one of the only ones who came to prison with millions of dollars. You're not a physicist. Like Lil Wayne said, what money? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, no one, they clean you out. But see, God, he didn't like the movie because the movie was based on the cop. Tell you a secret behind this. The cop got the money up and the clout. The movie became about him. But you know what he did at the premiere night? You're not going to believe what this man did. The undercover cop who Omar played, he committed suicide.
So you had Omar Epps and LL Cool J in that movie, right?
Yeah, that was who LL was playing. LL was playing God. That's why they opened the movie with him boxing, because he taught me how to use my hands a little better. And he ran a center. That's how he came to prison with money. He had businesses. He owned a big community center. He owned a gun range, a real gun range in Boston. So he really got past the red tape with them. He owned a gun range, and then he owned a Foot Locker. When Foot Locker first came out in the mall, and they started calling him God, because he came from Queens. He was the last of the Mohicans, besides Prince and them coming. And then he wound up there, and all I can say is that, you know, he's fighting. His history is, he got 25 years in the state and fought them and got out. So his fight he still has that in him.
So you mentioned something about Doc and Hunsonius?
Oh, Doc, come on, man. It's my man, light-skinned Afro Doc.
Play ball and all that?
What? Could play ball? I left him in the Bronx out of detention. Stockman Doc. Listen, man. It was Zoc. You couldn't see Doc without Zoc. Without Z, them two was like peas and carrots.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I left them in the Bronx out of detention. I was going to bring my criminal record here, which I'm not proud of, but I showed him. Me, Doc, and Zoc, I got arrested in the Bronx out of detention because Zoc, I got charged for attempted escape because I did make it down the sheet, and I did make it down to the fish market. And Zoc was the one who became the trustee to get behind the cat gate, because it was a cat gate. We didn't get into the windows. So he got to the cat gate and got the cop, got him. We saved the sheets. And I was going down the thing. Zoc is a good guy. He's home now. Someone told me he's home now and he got sick from the virus or something. So if he's seen
my Doc?
Zoc. Doc been home. The last time I seen Doc was in this neighborhood at that hotel on 155th and Amsterdam.
Yeah.
He was living there. That's the last time I seen Doc. And before I seen Doc, this one Doc was out of control. That's when Van was. We didn't get into Van the second one put a gun in my hand. But anyway, Doc, I left him on 155th in that hotel. That's where he was living at. He came home.
Yeah.
Yo, G, what's up? I said, yo, man, read my book. Sorry, they was trying to give me lieutenant spots. You know what I'm saying? But I couldn't do no more time. I felt that time, young people. You're gonna feel that time. I'm telling you, your family, you're gonna hurt your moms. I hurt my moms, man. I didn't go to my mother's funeral. Let me tell you about the federal. They don't play no games. When you go to court, in state court, they got in the back of the courtroom, in the back of the judge, it says, in God we trust. That means they can be paid, okay? It's con there. But in the federal government, they don't play no games. They got an eagle in the back. They ain't got no God we trust. They say, we make the money. We want your soul. So they lock you up and they wait many times, many years to get you. They don't come running, tumbling, okay? They wait till they high rate is 95 conviction. And they tell you when you sentence you, know what they say? There will be no weekend effing. We don't do that here. That's the state. And if you rat out, we're giving you 10 years, who really don't respect you.
So what about Ty? What you know about Ty?
Oh, Lil Ty. We go way back in the 80s, man. Ty, Lil Ty, man. They used to call him Big Ty. He used to run with Tony Hood. And tell you the truth, I'll take this off right now, just to show you how much I'm in love. Brother Tony Hood, man, that was my boy. They killed him right here on 48th Street. I was doing time in Jamaica prison. Unfortunately, this kid, they accused this kid Spider, and I left Nat in Allenwood. Tony Hood is right here. I buried him. TH.
I was in car stuff with him.
Yeah, I put a fence around him. You know, Tony Hood, I made the girls feel good. And would you believe his baby mother was a police officer? Yeah. Nobody knew that. He was the biggest gangster, but nobody knew his baby mother was a police officer. She was the big, she was 147th Street, Amsterdam Avenue. She used to have a great Dane. She used to control the syrup. That's when the South was up here. That's why if you see Nicky and all them back in the day, the South used to be up here. Okay, they used to run Amsterdam with the syrup. And she was the head of that. And some kind of way, she said, I'm gonna take a test. Everybody knew she was a drug dealer. I'm gonna take a test to be a cop. No, you ain't. Next thing you know, she passed the test. And pregnant with the gangster's baby. And know what she did? She said, I'm gonna be a cop. And she left and became a cop at the precinct at 161st Street in the train station, Yankee Stadium. And she moved from Boston Road, 180-something Street, 170-something Street, Boston Road, Tony Hood's mother. And she cried like a baby when they killed Tony. Snuck him from the back. I was in Jamaica prison, so I had to do tattoo on me. I go on and on in my life, and I put the whole life story into a double novel. It's called Gray Introspection. The reason I call it Gray Introspection is because I didn't live a white life. I didn't live a black life. I lived a gray life, you know? And like the gentleman said, education and these kids ratting, I'm telling you now, if you rat, I don't care what you say. Eventually, you're gonna talk your way, or they're gonna let you out that cell. And when they do let you out and they feel safe, which they don't give a too much about you, you're gonna get beat up all the time. Through your whole sentence. Trust me through this one. You do things behind people's backs, but they would, only you know. So that's how much rats get around in prison. A rat, they got bully rats. Okay, who's the king of their little area. And they do them dirty. So to say all that is that I gotta give an example. I'm 60 this year. You know, I'm in great shape. I've always been vegan. My mother's been vegan, my grandmother's vegan. I had no reason to go to jail. Why I didn't have no reason to go to jail? Because now I own a big piece of land on Atlantic Avenue that I might be building a hotel with God's grace. But I come from a family with houses and my brothers, all my brothers, all military. I took care of them. When I got arrested, I said, well, they said, Gary, what you gonna do? You're in jail. I said, all y'all going to the military. So they did. They all went to the military, came to MCC with all their rings, all four of them. 2 went to the Air Force, 1 to the Army. And they gave me their rings in the visiting room. And back in their visiting room, they used to come to the floor. Go to my Instagram, Gary E. Stewart. At Gary E. Stewart, go to my Instagram. You see me, Boy George, Calvin Klein on us with city clothes on. Fitteds on, sweatsuits. That's when the families used to come to your housing. You know what I mean? And they really bring them sausages and all that good stuff. They be cooking up with that motherfucker. Your family, drugs. Police be like, stop, don't do it in front of me. But what came after that? Oh, we used to carry quarters. Don't you know, $5,000 worth of quarters would be sitting there for the last 15 years. It's just who owns it. Yo, I own it now. Yeah, what you gonna do? You need to do this, you need to do that. And that quarters never leave that area. But anyway, that's a whole nother. And then the prison became overpopulated with young Spanish more, came in the 80s. And they brought a lot of habits, cutting people, cutting police. We fight them, but we won't cut them up. You know what I mean? They were cutting them up, so they took uniforms and all that. They fight for clothes. We didn't fight for clothes. So they changed the system, and they came out with this thing called 85%. And they tore them up.
You remember 85%?
Yeah, they played with that.
85%.
Yeah, they came out with that. And I just watched it from the outside because my first baby, I was 50. I said, God, what's up with you? Anyway, so I got a reason. I can't leave my son now. His birthday was last week, and my daughter. My son is 11. My son is 7, and my daughter's 11. I am not leaving a 17-year-old kid out here. I'm gonna do 70 like this. I'm gonna do 90 like this. I'm not leaving nowhere. Why? Because I know it is to sit still for a minute and find out there's a million ways to make $1 if that's what you're after. But I think living your life and doing something with your life, even emailing me, calling me, We didn't get into no big brother thing, but I can give you advice, and I possibly can help you with your story. Who knows? But I just know that don't come to me with the other stuff because you know what time it is. It's nothing but ratting and stealing. That game is gone already. So let's not get into that because we need our little brothers and sisters. I didn't know that then.
So can you give people your social media links?
Yeah. I have a social media, Gary E. Stewart, at Gary E. Stewart at Instagram, and the same thing with my Facebook, Gary E. Stewart. Like I said, I came home and my wife, they contact what they did, Writers Guild. They don't play. They will go to the prisons, and how many prisons you know, raise your hand that you know in prison, their stories are out there. So the Writers Guild will go to the prison and ask the person, did you help them with that? So they did, they contact God, and God said, yeah, he wrote in the yard with me. So they gave me story collaboration. So I don't want to step on nobody's feet who actually wrote it. That's all, and I don't want to come out with that. I want to come out with who want me to do their story, who wants to learn how to screenwrite and novel, because that game is good right now. Everybody's quarantining. They might want to read your story. And you know what they say about books. Every movie behind the scenes is a novel. Mm-hmm. So you never know. And my goal is to help Guy Fisher. I got this program we're working on trying to pull Guy Fisher closer. And the worst come to worst, I'm not using Guy Fisher for that. At the end of the day, if he doesn't make it, at least I've been there with him. He knows what it is to have 50,000 in his account and just live that life, if that's the life he's gonna live. It's a better one with money in there, okay?
Now, can you tell them what podcast show you on right now, my bro?
Say it again.
Can you tell them what podcast show you on right now?
Of course I know, man. That's the beat, 139.
All right, there it is. Thank you very much.
Thank
That's a hell of a story there. That's a hell of a story.